everybody. Good morning. It is time for another collab video. This one is brought to you by the fabulous Denise from Dish with D. There's a lot of wonderful people that are going to be taking part in this collab. I have been looking forward to this. It is a Meatless Monday collab, and I love Mediterranean food. I've mentioned that before. So I'm going to be making a meatless falafel pita. I guess you can eat them however you want, but I'm planning on putting them in a pita with some maybe Greek yogurt dressing or dip or something like that, or maybe adding a little hummus, you know, some lettuce and tomato, and just doing it up right. So anyway, but we're going to zero in on the falafel. Let me show you what is going to go in them. They're going to be baked, and we want to keep our fat down. I will show you what we're going to put in them. All right, let's look at the simple ingredients that are going in here. I'm going to be using 2 cans of chickpeas. These are cooked already. I'm going to rinse them and drain them. If you're using homemade, use about 3 cups and drain those. If you have a red onion, it's preferred to use a red onion. I don't have red, and I love onions, so I don't mind a nice sweet yellow onion. I'm going to cut this up and get 1 chopped cup of onion. I'm also going to be chopping up 4 cloves of garlic. I love garlic as well. Over here I have about 1/2 cup of loosely measured cilantro, fresh, a 1/4 cup of measured parsley, and that's fresh as well. I'm also going to be using 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. I'm going to be using 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And let's see, over here I've got 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now if you have kosher salt, that's probably the best because it does flavor things without over salting them, but it does bring out the natural nice flavors. So I always keep a box of this in my pantry and use it whenever the recipe calls for it. Baking soda, I'm going to be using 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then let's look at these spices over here. I have cumin seed. This is ground, and I am going to be using 1 tablespoon of that. It's going to be really important to add flavor, and 2 teaspoons of the ground coriander. All right, that's it. Let's get started and put all this together. Now, if you want to chop it as fine as you can, this is a good time to do it before you put it in the processor. Working with all this onion and garlic, your hands get kind of smelly, so if you pick up one of these stainless steel soaps, it really helps to get rid of all that smell off of your hands. All right, time to add everything to the processor. First go the chickpeas in here, and I didn't find this out until later on, but it really helps to work in batches. At first I put everything in here, and it's really dry, so batches is best. In goes the onions and garlic and the parsley and the cilantro, and that's it for now in the processor. This is going to go get processed, and I'm actually going to work in batches because, as you can see, it started to mix just fine, and then it got kind of gummed up, so I ended up having to use the rubber spatula and push a lot of it down, but I ended up having it and just taking half of it out and working in a couple of batches. I don't want it so creamy. I want it to be thoroughly mixed, but I want to leave a few little bumpy things. So I want to leave it with some texture so that I can form the little balls. So here I've got it. This is what it looks like after I've got done processing it. It looks almost like a crude meal, and it really smells wonderful. So now we're going to add the lemon juice. I think I'm going to get about 1 tablespoon out of here. It's really all I need. In goes the lemon juice. Next goes 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that's going to go in here as well. And now it's time for the spices. All of my dried spices, and if you have some garam masala, boy, that would just kick it into gear. But this is so flavorful. All right, here we've got, I'm going to put some parchment paper down here, and rather than form these into balls by hands, I'm going to use an ice cream scooper. It's so much easier this way. And then just take a spoon and flatten the top of it and then shape the sides. You can see I probably should have chopped my parsley up a little bit more before I had it in the processor. I will note that for next time, and I'm just going to make all of these into perfect little frisbees. And you know, it's just better this way. If you make it into a ball, it's kind of hard to hold it in something. So here we've got these all ready to go into the refrigerator. They're going to go into the fridge for about an hour or into the freezer for a half an hour. We just want them to stiffen up before we bake them. And I've got plenty here. All right, I'm going to cover it up too here before it goes into the fridge because I don't want it to smell like everything else in the fridge. All right, I'm going to preheat my oven to 400. It's been an hour and I've taken them out. They are all ready to go. They're a little bit more stiff, but you have to be really, really careful about handling them still because they can still fall apart. Okay, I've got them all on my tray and they're going to go right into the oven. They're all set. All right, time to take them out after 20 minutes, and we're going to flip them over. So very carefully, we want to bring them out, and they're still going to be really hard to handle. So be really, really careful flipping them over. As you can see, they can come apart real easy at this point, but you can also put them right back together again if they do. And after the second baking for another 10 minutes, they're going to stiffen up enough so you can handle them more and they won't fall apart. So in they go again for 10 minutes. Here they come out and they are all set. I'm going to cool these down on a plate here on another parchment. And look at that. Oh, they are so tasty. I had one and they're so amazing. Look at that. So they hold together really well now, although they still are delicate. Don't get me wrong. All right, so I'm going to have these with some of these sprouted wheat falafels. I'm going to be making up some of these sandwiches for my family tomorrow. And I ended up putting some avocado mayo on there. And I'm just going to make it a little simple little pita here with some lettuce, a little bit of cucumber and tomato. Again, these would be really good with some tzatziki sauce or some hummus or almost anything. You could use avocado. I mean, just go to town and think of how do I make this the most fantastic vegetarian wrap ever, right? And I'm going to use 3 little, this is a serving for me. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All right, guys, thanks for coming along with me, and thanks again to Dish with Dee and everybody else who's in the collab. I had a great time.